The Gita might be the most important text ever written in human history. Across centuries, across cultures, philosophers, saints, leaders have turned to the Gita time and time again to draw wisdom from it. Gandhi said, in most difficult times, he would often go back to the Gita to find solace. Oppenheimer, father of the atom bomb, after the first nuclear test in 1945, turned to the Gita to find solace. He remembered Krishna's words, "Now I am become death, destroyer of the worlds." What makes Gita so special? To truly understand this, we must understand who Krishna represents. For Gita is not a dialogue between two human beings. It is a dialogue between two aspects of a human being. Krishna represents the supreme personality of Godhead. What does that mean? Every being is a mix of Jivatma and Paramatma. Jivatma represents our ego self, our lower self, our conditioned body and mind. Paramatma represents our higher self, higher consciousness, our divinity. Krishna is 100% Paramatma. There is no Jivatma in Krishna. In us, this number could vary. In a thief or a cruel person, the Jivatma element might be 90%, 95%. The Paramatma element may be 5%. In a kind, loving monk, the Paramatma element might be 80%. The Jivatma may be 10 to 15%. Osho, in his 40 plus beautiful lectures on the Gita in Hindi, brings this out beautifully. He says, the reason why Bhagavad Gita or the Song of God is called Bhagavad, is called divine, because it is coming from a different center of consciousness. It is not coming from the intellect. Others can speak about the Gita, but that will be an intellectual effort. The origin of the Gita is from higher consciousness. In yogic language, you would say Gita is coming from the throat chakra. On the surface, Gita is very paradoxical. You wouldn't expect a figure like Krishna, who represents love and playfulness, to urge Arjun to go to war. And not only urge, but force him to go to war. And this is the genius of Gita. It starts with a paradox, because human life itself is a paradox. The Gita remains timeless. Gita is not really a book, it's a living soul. That is why when you read it once, it gives you a certain message. You read it again after 10 years, it will give you a different message because you're a different person. Gita is for every human being, is for every human soul, across cultures, across ages. Welcome to the Gita Revisited series. In this series, we'll do a deep dive on the Gita like never before. Inspired by the perspectives of masters like Osho, Ramdas, and many others, as well as my own reading and understanding of the Gita. We begin this journey by looking at the setting of the Battle of Kurukshetra. To really understand the Gita, we must first understand the context and the characters, the stage on which it is spoken. Then we look at Arjun's dilemma, his doubts and questions, which form the very basis of the Gita. And in Krishna's response to those questions lies one of the most important messages of the Gita. Let's explore. The Gita begins on eve of one of the greatest battles in human history, the Battle of Kurukshetra. On one side are the Kauravas, who represent adharma, injustice, cruelty. On the other side are the Pandavas, led by Arjun, who represent dharma, truth, justice. Krishna is standing with Arjun, but not as a fighter, only as an advisor. For he promised before the war that he would not enter the battle, because if he did, there would be no battle, there would be no contest. It is important to note that Krishna tried to stop the war. Before the war, he pleaded to the Kauravas to negotiate for peace, but they would not listen to him, and the war became inevitable. And then Krishna gave each side a choice. One can have his army, and the other one could have himself, unarmed. Arjun chooses Krishna. Kauravas choose Krishna's army. This already tells us something very deep. The adharmic mindset, chooses outer over inner. Driven by greed and ambition, it chooses God's resources over God. Whereas the dharmic mindset chooses inner over the outer. It chooses divine over divine's resources. So, on the eve of the battle, the armies gather on the battlefield. And this is where Arjun starts showing first signs of weakness. First signs of fear, doubt, anxiety. He questions Krishna. Why should I fight this battle? Why should I kill my own relatives, my own teachers? What is the use of winning a war if it comes at a cost of such bloodshed? And begins the Gita. Krishna uses Arjun as a medium to communicate to all of humanity. For Arjun represents all of us. Arjun represents the human mind. He struggles with the same challenges that we all do. Indecision, doubt, fears, even existential crisis. Arjun represents all of humanity. Arjun is me, Arjun is you. And in essence, the Gita is your conversation with Krishna. Now, let's look at the first paradox of the Gita. Why choose a battlefield? Gita, in essence, is a roadmap for self-realization. This is better delivered in a temple or an ashram, but Krishna chooses a battlefield. Why? Because he wants to send us a message that human life itself is a battlefield. It's a battlefield on the outside, duty versus desire, good versus evil, and the battlefield on the inside, ego versus soul, Jivatma versus Paramatma. And the human journey is the hero's journey, to fight all the battles and to win against all odds. Second paradox. Krishna is forcing Arjun to go to war. He says to Arjun, this is not a time to back away. You've been preparing for this all your life. You are a warrior. You were born to fight this battle. This sounds opposite to what a divine being like Krishna would say. Someone who represents love and playfulness. And in this paradox lies one of the greatest messages of the Gita, that your path is yours alone. Every being has a unique Swadharma, a unique path, and it should be their life mission to find it and walk it. To Arjun, Krishna said, go fight the war. If a monk like Buddha or Mahavir would have asked this question, Krishna would have said, this is not your battle to fight. You've practiced non-violence and compassion all your life. Dear sir, please go to the jungle. Do your meditations. What may liberate one may bind another. It is better to walk your path imperfectly than to walk in someone else's path perfectly. And this is one of the most beautiful messages of the Gita. From here on, Krishna moves Arjun and us to the most important teachings of the Gita, Karma Yoga. And that is what we'll explore in the next chapter.